Hey, welcome back to A Faster Me. This is the CBR number 4. This is the Open Cap 4 race, and yeah, it's basically a crash fest. um, yeah, it's just kind of wild. I don't know why, but this side of the course, I guess this is the Carson side. It always kind of adds to a little bit of drama. There's always some crashes on this side of the course. I like the other side a little better, the Dominguez side. Um, yeah, I don't know exactly why. Of course, I do know why, but it's not exactly something that's not avoidable. It's just really bad decisions by too many riders making bad decisions, and eventually, it's going to catch up to us. So there's a couple things. I've been talking about it a lot lately, but as you go faster, you really need to take corners wider. You need to start them wider. As an example, if it's a left-hand turn and the faster you're going, you need to start that turn from the right side of the road. And as you can see now, coming up to a turn, it makes it look like the left side is open. So you get a bunch of people dive bombing, thinking that they can make up some spots cutting into the inside, but at certain speeds, they can't make that angle. They can't make the 90-degree turn, and you have them run wide. They end up running into the back of someone, either T-boning them or hitting their back wheel and not being able to save it. So in general, that's the reason why we have so many crashes on this side of the course. And not only that, there's cones on the road because they, one, have to leave the road open, or at least one lane open for cars on those two streets, the north and south streets. And because of that, it bottlenecks and kind of funnels the road down to a little smaller, down to less lanes. Goes from 4 lanes down to 3 lanes, sometimes to 2 lanes. So those couple things, for whatever reason, always ends up being multiple crashes on this side. So besides that, let's get into the race. I'm in this race with two teammates. I got, the world famous at our level, Jack O, who Jack's, on a roll. He's had a number of wins this year, and he's just making his way back up to the higher ranks. And then along with me, we have Marlena Bemis. She's had a great year so far as well. She usually races the women's races, but she decided to jump in with Jack and I today and, just join us on the Open Cap 4 race. Marlena ends up hanging the entire way, does a great job, shows great power, but she just really wasn't feeling like how wild our race is, so she kind of hung out at the back. And then, of course, it's really brutal back there. So, and then you have myself, just trying to stay healthy, basically. Basically, just trying to live my live my best life in my old age, and try to gain some of my fitness back, and then just creep my way up the field, and before I can try to transition into some masters racing. So anyway, I'm sitting here behind Greg now. That's Jack to my left right there, and for the most part, I'm just kind of sitting in and being patient. I had just gotten back from Indiana, so I've been off the bike all week. I kind of tried to warm the legs up on Saturday, but other than that, I've been off the bike for the entire week. So wasn't feeling the greatest, but I was actually pretty fresh. Just my legs weren't awake, just felt like you guys know how it is when you don't ride for a little while. Even though you're kind of fresh, you're almost too fresh, like your legs aren't warm. So no big deal though. The race wasn't really that hard. It was pretty chill most of the time until it surges at the end. But I felt pretty good in this race. Just unfortunately, there's going to be a number of crashes during the race, and for sure at the end of the race. I think in the last lap we had either 2 or 3 crashes on the last lap alone. So it's pretty fast though. I mean, we averaged 26 miles per hour, or 26.1, something like that. And yeah, so it was a pretty good pace. It wasn't too slow, even though it kept bottlenecking and slowing down on a couple corners. Overall, I think we carried fairly good speed. And just this side here, from turn 3 to turn 4, we ended up just really slowing down a lot. Also, just something to point out, which I've been pointing out all year, is sometimes we get a little too excited, and I don't think people understand the power of position. And what I mean is, everyone is in here fighting, yelling at each other, all those kind of things. But really, if you have your handlebars behind the rider to your right or the rider to your left, you are out of position. That person has position on you and has the right of way. But so many people are yelling from behind, and they're getting mad at other people when they are behind the other person. You're out of position. That person should not be looking backwards. They should not be looking to see who's behind them. The rule is protect your front wheel at all time. So it's just something to point out, like, because when you're in the peloton, you hear people yelling, you see people yelling, and often they're the ones out of position yelling at someone else, and they really just need to work on getting in better position, and they wouldn't have to yell as much. And that's including people yelling inside all the time. When you're yelling inside, you're coming from behind, and you're out of position, and basically you're you're initiating a dive bomb, hoping that people move out of the way for you, and really they have no responsibility to move for you. They're up front, they've already committed to their line, and they really should not be adjusting their line from you yelling inside. When you yell inside, yeah, it's a great courtesy, but it doesn't give you the right to any of that, like any of that tarmac, any of that position. It doesn't give you the right to anything. That's just you yelling inside, trying to warn someone that you're coming in hot, somewhat out of control or whatever. I think the more proper way to do it, and it's just my opinion, is you pull up next to the rider calmly, and you just say, hey, I'm on your left, I'm on your right. You don't have to yell at the top of your lungs inside. And when you are yelling at the top of your lungs inside, it means you're out of position and you're basically about to dive bomb someone. So anyway, those are just my opinions, my 2 cents. I know no one's going to listen to it, and everybody's going to still dive bomb every corner, because that's just the categories that we're in. When you're in category 5, category 4, that's just where people's experience levels are and stuff like that, and it's just the nature of racing. I know a number of people watch these races and watch these videos, so hopefully they can think twice about yelling inside and just take a general rule. If you have to yell, you're probably out of position, and it's your responsibility to back off. And if you're in front, you're not going to be yelling. And I don't mean in front of the pack, I just mean in front of the person. You wouldn't be worried about it. So just kind of use the power of position, get your handlebars where they need to be, make your moves. If it's going to be something even close, try to do it on the straight before you initiate turn, because once that person in front of you picks their line and start to initiate their turn in, they really should be holding that line and not adjusting for you yelling inside and trying to slide underneath them. Because obviously if you're on the inside, there's people to your right, there's people to the outside, and sometimes you simply can't adjust your line. So anyway, back to a little bit of racing. Well, actually, one more thing. On top of that, there is another thing of chopping wheels. Sometimes you hear someone say inside. Let me clarify. You'll hear someone, or you'll see someone on the inside of you, and because they're tight and you can carry momentum on the outside, you should not carry momentum right across their front wheel. That's chopping a wheel. I understand you might think they're dive bombing or whatever the case may be, but no need to punish everybody and cause a crash, because it's usually going to domino into other people. So there's a little 2 parts to that. Yes, there's dive bombing, but there's also chopping wheels, and you got to kind of be cautious of both of them, even though it is all of our responsibility to protect our front wheel. There are scenarios where someone can just chop your wheel. So anyway, you can see from the video in front of me, yeah, there's some pretty dicey lines to begin with. Here's a situation where if you look to the right, those cones trying to come in, and this also causes a crash. You see the rider there avoiding cones there, kind of late. Someone behind them didn't see it till the last second and then crash. Here it is from Marlena's camera. Unfortunately, I think that's Ben there. Someone moved last second. Ben didn't see the cone. Marlena actually got hit by a cone that flipped into the lane, and then Ben got caught up and flipped over, hitting a cone. So I think that's crash number 1 right there. And again, it's avoidable. All you got to do is the riders up front, you either motion the people over or you got to call out the cones. But, if you just swerve out of the way at the last second, there's riders behind you. They have no clue the cone is there at that time, and, they're going to get caught up in it. So here, like usual, I'm a little too far back, just kind of being a little complacent. And, honestly, I was trying to save some energy. Like I said, I wasn't feeling fresh to begin with. So I was trying to take it a little easy and warm up. But yeah, it's just kind of holding momentum. And when you're back here, you're kind of stuck sometime unless you want to put in like a big effort. You basically got to treat it like like the freeway, just driving a car, and you just try to look for momentum. You try to look like, where's the lane going? Where's the jet stream kind of moving in the peloton? Like right now it's moving to the left. So if I'm going to make a move, I should be sliding left, moving up over there. But honestly, I'm kind of chill where I'm at. It's not too bad of position, and it's really early in the race, so I got a lot of time to move up. It's just if it gets kind of sketch, or if someone wants to attack or anything, yeah, it starts to tax you a little bit more being this far back. Unfortunately, the rider was still down there on the right. Someone said he left kind of like with a sling or something, so hopefully there's no broken collarbone or anything. This turn here is, it's pretty fast. We hit that at 29 miles per hour, but honestly, we should be over 30 and string it out a little bit. It makes it a lot safer going through there. When you go through 4 wide at our level, yeah, eventually there's going to be an incident. There's just really no way around it. I mean, I'm not knocking anybody. I'm in the race with you, so obviously I'm at that same level. So it's not that I'm knocking anyone or anything like that. It's just everyone has different skill levels in this race as far as bike handling, as far as holding momentum, choosing lines, how much you can adjust or minute adjustments opposed to panicking, things like that. And unfortunately, if I point something out, I'm just using you an example. I'm not trying to call you out as a person or a rider or anything like that. But, if your actions are on video, they're on video. So, it's just something that's my opinion and I'm calling something out on it. But yeah, overall, the big theme is just don't panic. We all make mistakes. We all are trying to race hard, and sometimes you see a little gap you think you can make it through, and every once in a while you get it wrong. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's just being a competitor, and that's part of it. I was rubbed or bumped or whatever probably at least 4 times in this race, and it was never a big deal. You don't want it. You don't want the contact really, but it's not a big deal. You just kind of deal with it and keep going. You got my man from Wolves on the left side up there attacking. And I think that's Mateo chasing him down over there. Both of them are putting in a hard effort. Wolves tried a couple times this week attacking right here on this uphill. And this uphill is into a pretty stiff headwind. So they tried a couple times attacking here. Could have been a good move, maybe not the best spot. Not really sure, to be honest with you. Obviously, if you're able to attack up the headwind solo and get to the downhill first, yeah, you can open a pretty good gap. But yeah, I don't have that in my wheelhouse at the moment, so I'd rather attack when it's going from slow to fast and be the first to the fast point, not really burning my match up the hill against the wind, especially like when you got a peloton to chase. If it gets really slow and you're able to do it, I think that's a little better. But if it comes through with any momentum, yeah, it's not really I don't think it's really gonna get that much separation. So my man right here in the red, I think sometimes his movements are a little big. Not the major motion rider, but the one to the right with the black bibs and the red top, with the red helmet. I'll show you in a little bit. Like his movements sometimes are a little bit abrupt. And I'm sorry, bro, I don't know your name, but yeah, just my opinion again. I would just say, make sure when you make adjustments, they need to be minute. You got to know, like, if somebody's to the left or right. I don't know if it's this next turn, but one of these turns coming down, someone kind of moves towards him on the inside, and he ends up like sweeping really wide to the outside, which those are the types of movements that'll cause a crash. And there's my man Danny to the right there from CFT. I think Danny nearly avoided some crashes too later in this race. So it stretched out pretty good here. Maybe the attack worked a little bit. It's probably a preem lap. Got some guys going off the front a little bit. I think I had to hit about 600 watts almost every time coming out of turn 2 there. And that's just the nature of the course. There's a pretty, good hump there, maybe like a 4% hump. And that's, really where it taxes everybody a little bit. That's the acceleration point. Here, once again, just trying to surf and trying to move up a little bit. I'm not in too bad of a position here, maybe like 12th place or something, which is not too bad. It's just we're surging so much with the little high speed, then slowing down high speed, you get shuffled pretty bad. And these last couple of weeks, I have been racing really poorly. I've been racing really poorly too, because I've been stuck. I've been boxed in a lot, and there's no one to blame for that but me, boxing myself into the middle here, because there's a delicate balance about hiding and protecting your energy. I only averaged like 200. I think I only averaged 228 for this race, something like that. And maybe I think it was 228 normalized and like 210 or 208 or something average. But the good part of that is, it was low in watts. The bad part is when it's time to move, if you're in here tucked into this spot in the draft, you're going to get caught out sometimes, and you won't be able to get out when you need to, and then you get shuffled back to 20th, 30th position, and then it's really hard to make up spots from there. So there again, I don't know who it was, but you see somebody came under me pretty late right there. But again, you got to kind of expect it, for one, and number two, you just got to hold your line. If they make a mistake and can't hold their line and end up hitting you, it is what it is. But there's no reason for me to kind of bounce wide and then compound the issue of taking others out. Here I find a nice little pocket kind of to move up in. You see how it's opening there, and I just kind of accelerate a little bit through here, trying to tighten it up a little bit. But again, I still am boxed in. I shouldn't really be here. I should be picking either the right side or the left side a little bit better, and just make sure I have a opening so I can get out. Now, if you look, there was more guys late to the inside there coming up. But again, not to beat a dead horse, but the more times we do that late, it's no problem going inside or carrying momentum going in the inside. But the more times you hear everybody yelling inside and people coming up late, it's just rolling the dice. There's gonna be a crash. You're gonna crap out at some point. So again, it's really about pulling up next to the person right before the turn, making sure that person can see you, then just initiate your turn in, not trying to squeeze in there after they've already committed to the turn. We got good speed coming down this hill right here, but for whatever reason, everyone hits brakes right about now. It makes you slow down a lot. And I don't know why. I think it's like, I heard somebody even say that they thought they'd slide out. And it's like, you're not going anywhere. We're really not even at that steep of a lean angle. This surface is actually pretty good on this side of the course. The road conditions are well. There's not a lot of cracks, bumps. I know it gets a little rough at one spot, but that's here on turn 3 that it gets a little rough. Turn 2, I think, is fine. And for the most part, you can go through there as fast as you want. You're not going to slide out. I think it's just a little bit of paranoia, and then sometimes people just not being really in tune with what lean angle they're at. So here I'm just sitting behind, same deal. It's basically the same deal for me all race. Just being patient. I think that's one thing too that sometimes would benefit people a lot if they just, be a little bit more patient. We're racing for 40 minutes. We're only 19 minutes in, and for the most part, nothing you do right now is going to win you the race unless you break away. I mean, if you're trying to break away off the front and can hold it for 20 minutes, that's pretty much the only thing right now that's going to allow you to win the race. So I think a lot of times it's just we need to practice some patience, and it'll improve our craft and our safety a lot. As you can see, there's guys shooting up the inside, and that's where I was talking about where they kind of came inside the guy in the red here. No fault of his, but the error he makes is he swings it about 6-7 feet to the right, and then you'll end up almost taking out other people. And now as he's moving up, he cuts from the right hard to the left. And again, there was no incident there, but those are the type of movements that will cause a crash in the future. You can't be moving lateral, long distances laterally. Going left and right is what's going to cause an incident. You kind of you got to be making progress while you're moving up, and it should be, a lot more calm and minute movements, not abrupt movements. But again, these are my opinions. I'm not knocking anyone. I'm just going off of what I see on the video. There's Jack again. Jack is, the master of saving energy. Kind of always gets to the right spot at the right time. It wasn't perfect this weekend, but, he still made it up to the front when he needed to be. But obviously, Jack's real patient. The thing he does a lot better than I do, I think we both save energy pretty good, but the thing he does better than I do is he always gives himself an out. And sometimes I get a little lazy, get a little complacent, and I get stuck in the middle behind people sometime instead of being off to the right or the left. And of course, I know better. It's just sometimes what you know and what you do are two different things. And that's kind of the beauty of cycling. It's not about really exactly what you know. It's what you do day of the race, and you really only get one shot at it. You don't get a second chance. A lot of people, I hear people saying they're faster than this person or faster than that person, but you got to do it today. You got to do it right now during the race. No do-overs. Nothing else really matters that day. Doesn't matter who you beat on the group rides and Montrose and Strava segments. I think a lot of people put way too much emphasis on those things, and you kind of got to do it on race day in a tight pack with 75 random people that all have different skill levels. And that's where the test comes. The test comes right here on Sundays. And I definitely failed that test this weekend. I touched on it earlier this year too about teamwork. And I think also the lack of teamwork in this field, as you see Montgomery going to attack on the left up there. There still is a break off front. I think Montgomery actually goes to help. That may not have been his intent. He may have been trying to get in that break, but I think he ended up helping bring that break back a little bit. But yeah, on teamwork, just about in our fields of making it safer, it's kind of hard because it's safer if someone commits to stringing us out. But at the same time, if you are committed to stringing, to basically controlling the pace of the peloton, it's also hard for you to get a good finish. And, at the lower levels, there's really no such thing as domestiques because everybody's trying to get a high finish. Everyone thinks they can win the race, So it's just kind of, it is what it is. We're all kind of self-motivated, and we kind of have to self-regulate the peloton and, kind of pitch in and do our part of keeping the pace a little faster and a little safer. Here I'm just like in the wind, trying to move up, trying to find a spot. And even though I did move up a number of spots there, I found out that that's not this place to be. Going up the left side and all that wind, the wind's coming from, when you're going up towards turn 3, the wind's coming off our left side there. And it just takes a lot more energy to swing up that left side there to move up. It's easier to just kind of hide on the right side and move up on the right side right there. On this side, it doesn't matter because the wind's at our back now, kind of coming off the right to our back. But yeah, it's always key to identify a couple of spots where you're able to move up comfortably for your skill level on the course. And then you kind of isolate and use those areas to your advantage until you get to the position that you want to be in. A lot of times people wait until it's desperation, myself included, and we just move up whenever we get a chance at that point. And it's usually counterproductive. You use a lot of energy, or it's not safe, whatever the case may be. But early on in the race, or even in your pre-race rides, you need to identify like, hey, where's a good spot that I can, make up some positions. And for me, this race, it ended up being here right after this little surge, and then going into turn 4 as well. So basically turns 3 and 4, especially since they're into the wind. If you tuck in to the right side over there, you can make up a lot of spots using a little bit of energy and then just fall back in. Not to mention the pace is really slow here because we're going uphill and into the wind. So anytime the pace is slow, it's a good time to make up some spots. Yeah, so now I'm sitting back still pretty deep. I'm still probably about 30, I don't know, 30 riders deep or so. I think we only have a little over 50 riders in this race. So when you're in the back half of the race, yeah, you're pretty far back. I'd much rather be around 12 to 15, 10 to 15 place here. And, it's okay. I'm chilling. I'm like fine where I'm at. But, it's a lot easier, a lot more comfortable if I moved up like 15 spots. Actually, probably 20 spots. It looks like I'm pretty far back here. So here's what I'm talking about again here. If you see, we're doing 28 going downhill, and there's a lot of room to the left. But yeah, that's not an invitation. It's not an invitation to shoot in there. You know what I mean? Like not hugging the turn on the inside. That's not an invitation, and no one did it there. But often when you see that gap on the side, especially in the women's races, you'll see 2 lanes open to the left, and then you'll see a line of girls trying to shoot in there. And really, you need to think to yourself, if no one's over there, there's a reason why no one's riding to the left right now. It's not the place to be. You know what I mean? It's just not the place. When you see the Velo Kings guy shoot up the left right there, he did it the right way. See, he rode up to a spot. He didn't wait till the last second trying to hug the turn really tight. He rode up with a quick acceleration and then got up to the front and then initiated the turn at the same spot that the rest of the group initiated the turn. I think the problem becomes when you're hugging the curb so tight and your bike's still going straight and other riders have already initiated turn in and they're coming across you, you should really never be looking at the side of a rider. All the bikes should be pointed generally in the same direction. So we're getting pretty late in the race. I want to say we probably have about 10 laps to go or so, maybe a little over 10 laps to go. As I was talking about earlier, when you see the streams, there goes the stream around the outside. And as you can see, everybody moving up, they're going around the outside right now. Those are the things you have to like read in a race if you want to make up positions. For the most part, you should always be moving forward. When you do things like I'm doing this weekend, like sitting in the same spot, you end up getting shuffled back because as people are going forward, you may think you're holding your position if you're behind the same person, but actually you're going backwards because guys are going, left or right and going forward, so you're getting shuffled back. And sometimes sometimes it's not as easy to see, because you're going a decent pace, you're drafting pretty good, you're on the same wheel, and because you haven't lost the wheel, you kind of lose sight of the fact that you're going backwards. And that's just because other people are, kind of swarming on the left side or the right side. Or both sides, actually, as a swarm. Shout out to the Chamois Bros. Got one of them in front of me right now. I want to say, maybe I should bring up the results, but I want to say maybe Ben won the race. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, both of them been racing pretty good this year. Uh, Kind of two-man team kind of thing. And yeah, they've been having some fairly good results this year and running up front pretty consistently. I think a few years ago, I remember, can't remember if both of them were racing back then or just one, but I remember racing against them in like the Cat 5 categories a couple years back. We got some pretty good speed here going 31, 30, yeah, just 31 miles per hour. That's pretty good, but now you see it always slows down just a little bit there. After a while, since it slows down so much, since it slows down so much, I started tail gunning a little bit, and that's basically just opening up a little gap in front of you, so you don't have to ever hit your brakes or anything, and you can just kind of either pedal through and run it back up to the back of a wheel, or just kind of coast through, whichever you choose to do. It just depends on what the situation calls for. Here again, I want to make up some spots, but nowhere to go, so I just kind of back off going up the inside. Same thing there. Like I said, doesn't matter if it's me or someone else. If I try to squeeze in there, that's me dive bombing. You know what I mean? So you got to back off sometime and not try to make up a spot if you're already too late. And I don't know if it's right there or not. I think somebody hit my back wheel. I'm not sure if it's there or the next lap, but yeah, I think somebody hit my back wheel and they saved it. And at the time, I wasn't sure if they hit me or not, but they did. So yeah, here we got about probably five laps to go or so. And you can tell it's getting a little, the pace is getting a little faster. People are just moving around a little bit more. A little desperation sets in sometime. Got that heart rate up, so I'm about to blow up right now. I'm at 186. Definitely don't like being anywhere near 190 unless race is over, unless I'm sprinting and race is over. But yeah, once I get near 190, that means I'm a little taxed right there. That lactate is building up in those legs. Yeah, we definitely got a little bit better pace going here because going up this side, we're at 27 miles per hour, 26, and last few laps we were down to like 22 miles per hour coming through here. So yeah, the pace has picked up a lot. Pace has definitely picked up. Got a few laps to go. And I think for sure from this point on, and I remember just telling myself, hey, when I see the lap counter, can't go backwards at all. Got to go forward, got to make up spots. So from 5 laps to go, it's kind of like when you play sports and you hold up 4 quarters and it's the 4th quarter and you're trying to convince yourself that it's crunch time, it's closing time. That's basically when you see 5 laps to go. Yeah, there's no going backwards from that point. You got to make up spots, got to get to the front. And as you can see, there's a breakaway off the front with 4 guys. My teammate's in the breakaway, Jack. So, I was kind of hoping it stayed away, but obviously it's not. They're running it down. That's why the pace has been so hot for the last lap and a half. Here's a time for me, too, where like I said, it's desperation time now, so you got to move up. I see a little part right here, a little gap in the sea, so I just try to shoot in there. Definitely protected from the wind as well. The bottleneck's a little bit here, though. Still got a good 20 spots to make up before I'm in the place that I want to be. And once again, I make the mistake of shooting up the middle. And again, you're boxed in. It's a little harder to get left and right. You can't see because the camera doesn't show it, but there's always people like on your left and right when you're in the middle. Forgot to look at the lap counter too to see how many laps are left. I want to say we probably have 3 laps left right now, either 2 to go or 3 to go. There's Jack in front of me, so I'm trying to get back up to Jack's wheel, so it's 2 laps to go. But Jack makes that a little acceleration through there. I try to accelerate and go with him and get closed off right there. And I think that's probably the critical move that I missed right there, because now obviously we're getting ready to come into the turn, and I have no way to move up from here. You know, through this turn, I basically have no way to move up. You see I get pushed out right there by some guys from the inside again. And I end up getting pushed to the curb here, so that scrubbed a little speed, makes me hit another 600 and something watts. Still trying to go up the outside here. You see some squirreliness in the middle right there. 2 guys almost hit each other again. And the good thing is I am protected from the wind on this side. And yeah, I should have followed those guys up on the outside right there, but I was a little slow on the trigger, so I just sat here for a second. Definitely still trying to make up some spots, so see a little gap and try to shoot through. Again, it's closed off, nowhere to go. I know my man right here with the red shoes is a fairly strong rider, so I was kind of hoping maybe I can ride his coattail up, you know, to the front if he makes a move, but this is the problem you have when you box yourself in. And you see he's going to make a move right here, and I end up lagging back. Red shoes goes up to the right, and I should have been right there on his wheel. So again, I'm just, you know, I'm doing it to myself, making the wrong move here, you know. Like I said, you gotta read the freeway and see which way it's flowing. It's clearly flowing around the outside, and I'm just slow to react. So I am going around the outside, but I'm going at a leisurely pace instead of, you know, putting a little emphasis on it there to get there. So here we are, last lap, I believe it is, going down the, about to go down the hill here. I'm still trying to move up a little bit. I see some guys moving, so I try to go with it here on the outside. Still a little sketch, and honestly, I don't really want to commit too much here. I don't really want to commit to going in there. Come around here, and I hear a little noise. Somebody dive bombed and took some people out. And here it is from Marlena's camera. This is the Marlena cam. She was back here trying to latch on, and guys went in, crashed. You see some guys run wide here, hit the rail. 2 more guys taken out. Guy flips a Yui in the middle of the race. I'm sure one of his buddies probably were in it. So then I'm coming up here on the outside. I still think I'm in pretty good position. Well, I shouldn't say that. I'm not in good position whatsoever. I still think I have a little chance to make up some spots here because I know it gets slow around these last 2 turns. So going into turn 4 here, you can see I'm making up some positions, try to go in here, and then 2 guys hit again on the inside, push all of us wide. 2 other guys are stuck together right there, and basically it's over now. Lost all my momentum, try to surge real quick, but you can see the pack's in the way, and I got to get back in safely from the cones, and then I just shut it down. There's no reason for me to be out here sprinting for, you know, 20-something place, 30th place, so I just shut it down and kind of cruise in after that. So yeah, at least 2 to 3 crashes on that last lap. I want to say it was 3 total, but you know, 1 at turn 2 and then 2 crashes in turn 3, and yeah, just kind of brutal. So anyway, yeah, thanks for watching. I'll get the 4-5 race out in a little bit, and yeah, let's be a little safer next time. Not as many dive bombs and all that. Just be a little bit more patient, and hopefully we'll all make it through the race.